Hey, my name's Rajesh. I'm a direct lender based in Los Angeles, and today we'll be looking at how to turn $35,000 into $15.6 million, or 444xing your money over 40 years. Let's get into it. Today we'll be looking at a building that's for sale for the first time in over 50 years. That was a little bit of a tongue twister. First time for sale in over 50 years. 3121 South Canfield Avenue, Los Angeles, California, 90034. And this is a $2.35 million building. 9 units, sounds cheap. And then you look at the cap rate, 4.01%, and you realize that it might be overpriced. Because the smaller that cap rate is, that means the lower your net operating income is. So to figure out net operating income, you would just go price times cap rate. And just looking at it like this without any numbers, you know that the bigger this number is, the bigger this number is going to be, because this is a multiplier. So the smaller this number is, the smaller this will be, because again, this is a multiplier. So 2.35 million times 4.01%, which I get when I do my math, times 4.01%, $94,235. Whoops. Let's see here. And this is per year for 9 units. So that's literally $10,000, a little over $10,000 a year for per unit. So let's divide this by 12. So we are looking at 94235. 94235 divided by 12 is 7852 per year NOI. And we have here the offering memorandum. So let's see what this is in terms of building condition. Doesn't look bad. It doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad. Here we go. Now they will tell us so cap rate for the market, 7.87, 8.19 for the market. I don't know how they're calculating that, but I will go off this gross rent multiplier here. I will also see if they have the numbers spelled out for us later, and they do. So they are looking at market rents. And if they do market rents while leaving the expenses exactly the same, then that's how they would end up at a higher cap rate, because now more of everything that you get above your expenses is profit. And if you raise rents and keep expenses the same, then all that extra just drops down into the net operating income. So they have the math done here for us, but let's go through the process anyway. So annual gross rents is equal to price over gross rent multiplier, which is equal to what are they saying? 13.49. So 2.35 million over 13.49. And just by looking at this, you know that the bigger this number is, the smaller this is going to be. And the smaller this number is, the bigger this number is going to be. And that's because this is division. So let's see what this turns out to be. 235, divided by 13.49. This is 174,000 203 per year, or 174,203 divided by 12, 14,516 per year. This is the GRM calculation. This is the cap rate calculation. What I'm going to do now is look at the actual numbers on the financial analysis. So they're saying current rents are 14,413 per year. So actual 14,413 per year. And this is why lenders want to see the rent rolls. This is why they want to see the P&Ls, because you can say cap rate, you can say gross rent multiplier, and that gives us rough numbers to work with. But you can see there's still about, let's see here, 103 divided by 12. So you're looking at $8.58 a month difference. And that seems like a small thing, but when balancing numbers and underwriting, we have our percentage limits. So this might actually increase your down payment. So this is why we want to see the numbers. We're not going to use market rents. We're going to use actual rents, because when you buy it, you are not buying it at market rents. The tenants aren't just magically going to start paying you more. They're going to be paying these numbers until you actually evict them, or or they voluntarily move out, and then you would be able to raise the rents to market rents. So here we have net operating income, and as I said, you increase your rents, the gross scheduled income goes up, but your vacancy reserve slightly goes up. They're like, okay, we'll go from 3% to 5%, but your effective gross income goes up. Your expenses, they're saying it's roughly the same. As a percentage, this is 31%. As a percentage, this is 43%. It did go up about 13,000, but you can argue that the difference comes from the vacancy reserve right here. And then your net operating income at market is 184,000, almost double what this is. But this says 94,187, so let's see what this is here. Actual. $94,187 per year. So here was the calculated one. Here's the actual one, not too far off. We're looking at maybe 235 minus 187 divided by 12, so you're at $4 a month. $4 a month difference. This was $833 a month difference. Okay. So here is expenses. This will tell you where the change in expenses happened. Maintenance and repairs are putting $8,000 more. They're doubling that. Off-site management, they're increasing that because that is based on a percentage of rents, and the higher your rents, if you're going 4% of higher gross rents, this will increase. Landscaping stays the same. Rubbish, trash pickup stays the same. Miscellaneous and reserve stays the same. So this is where they're breaking down their expenses, but these are all projections. So given California's laws, getting it up to market rents is very difficult, and is going to be a cost in and of itself, depending on how you evict those tenants and how long they've been there. So let's see comparables. this is a 4.93 cap rate. There's a 5.93 cap rate, 4.90 cap rate, 4.01 cap rate. So it's odd that they're using a 4.01 cap rate to qualify themselves. They're basically saying this property is overpriced. Because even if you look at sold comparables, they're all over 5%. And again, the bigger that cap rate, the lower the price relative to the net operating income. Here's some more: 4.62, 4.44, 4.57. So even low fours, that's still pretty low compared to it. There's 18 units, there's 8 units, 6 units. So, I mean, this building might be overpriced, but again, it's for sale for the first time in over 50 years. But let's go ahead and do our analysis and see if this can cash flow and what needs to be done to make it cash flow. Okay, so we're at 235, 1, 2, 3. Let me add it. 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 9 units, 0. So we're going to be going with a bank loan here, or an agency loan, because 9 units doesn't make sense to do a DSCR loan on this. So what was our gross rents? 14. This is per month, sorry. This is per year. This is per month. So let me actually also put this number as a month right here. 94187 divided by 12. 7848.91 per month. Okay. So let's see what this turns out to be now. 14,413. 0 vacant units. And let's see, property taxes, landlord insurance is probably correct. We're showing net operating income of 7821. I can go in and manually punch these in according to this expense report that they showed here. But honestly, as long as the numbers add up at the bottom, that's what matters. So 7821. And what were we getting? 7849. So one of these is too expensive. They did not include advertising here. So let's see what that does. That increased it to 7831. 7849. So I need $18. So if I were to include, let's see here, any utilities, 9720. These are annualized. So let's see, if I drop this down to 2, 7849, 7849, that checks out. This one does not apply, so we're only going to be focusing on this bank loan here. ¿Puedes caminar, por favor?
Ah, sí. ¿Ya terminaste?
No, aún estoy grabando.
Ah, perdón.
Puedes cerrar esa puerta. Gracias, Pepe. All right, so let's see here. According to this interest rate, to get this net DSCR ratio, get a 1.2 net DSCR ratio. And here's what a net DSCR ratio is. Net DSCR ratio is equal to NOI over P and I. And as you can see, net operating income already takes into account property taxes and landlord insurance. So what we're doing here is that for bank loans like Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, you need at least a 1.20x, especially in Los Angeles. Outside of California, they're probably looking at 1.25x. In some suburban areas, they want to see a 1.35x in order to qualify the building. With us, we only require a 1.5 net DSCR ratio. And that's at this interest rate, just to cash flow $1,000 a month. And your down payment's going to be, almost 1.2 million. So if we were to think about this, for your 1196115 1023 divided by 1196150 times 100. So you're at a 0.86% return. 0.08. So you're not even at 0.1%. Right? Because if we were to go 1196150 times 0.01, that's 1%. Sorry, let's see here. 10%. I want to show 10%. If we were to multiply this by 10%, we would get $119,000 for that $1 million every single year. But if we go 1196150 times 0.01, that's 1% of that, and we would be getting $11,000 per month. Yeah, this is on a monthly basis. So this is your net cash flow on a monthly basis. So you're getting a fraction of that 1%. You're getting 1023. Let me see another way of putting this. 1196150 times 0.00. Too many. There we go. So yeah, you're not even getting this much per month. If you were to multiply this by 12, you're looking at $14,000 a year for your $1 million investment. Anyway, let's see here. So I got to figure out the interest rate here, right? So we're going to look at the 5-year CMT today. And this is unique to our product. It's usually the 5-year CMT plus a margin. So we look at the 5-year CMT, and our margin is 2.25%. So 3.755 plus, and you can see it updates every second, literally, plus 2.25. So we're at a 6.005% interest rate. So that means your down payment is going to have to be just a little bit higher, 6.005. And we got to go back down to 1.15 here. So we're looking at 52% down. You're paying more than 50% as a down payment. But let's see if it's worth it. Okay? So let's see here. We are at 3121 South Canfield. Los Angeles, California. Copy. Okay, link. We are saying property taxes, realtor commissions, property management, they were saying 4%. I actually had it at 8% in here because again, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that the numbers add up. But let's say we stick at 4%, right? The way they had it. Down payment 52%. Interest rate is 6.005. No mortgage insurance, fully amortized. Let's see here. So now we got to do, let me make sure this is right. I also want to input my expenses correctly. So we're at 9 units. And we have a gross rent per month of 14,413. 14413 divided by 9 is 1601.44. 1601.44. And now we can enter all the correct information here. So 9, we're at 9,900 a year in terms of insurance. They're putting it at 12,900. So let's use their numbers. 12,900. Legal. Do they have legal here? Miscellaneous plus reserves. They're saying 2,250 per year. So 2,250 divided by 12 is 187.5 per year. 187.5 per year. Gas, utilities. They're saying utilities are 97.20 per year. 97.20 divided by 12 and divided by 3 is 270. So that means this is going to be 270. All utilities I'm just going to put at 270. Okay. Let's see what they say for maintenance and repairs. That's 8708. 8708 divided by 12. We're at 725.67 per year. So this needs to be just a little bit lower. Let's say 5. This is, so 501, 502. So let's see here. I'm going to put 5.02 here for lawn and snow because I count that as part of maintenance. Trash removal, they call that rubbish, 5,000. So 5,000 divided by 12 is 416.67. 416.67. Pest control. Do they consider pest control here? They're saying landscaping is 1,500, so that's 1,500. 1,500 divided by 12 is 125. So I'm going to bump this up to 130 because 125 plus 502 is 130.02. Pest control is the one that I have not, or they have not included here. So that's what I'm going to remove and put at 0. And they've not done advertising either. And so now their current NOI should be at 98,646. And I'm getting 94,187. So I'm going to punch in a 3% vacancy loss because that's what they're doing here, right? Vacancy reserve, 3%. Now they're also adding laundry in here. I'm not. So let's see here. I'm at 93,925 and they are at 94,187. So if I were to go 94,187 minus, whoops, 93,925.06, I would end up, wait, what happened here? Something happened here. 94,187 minus, okay, yeah, that makes sense now, 93,925.06. So we're at a 261 a month difference. So let's see what happens if I put other income, 1,200. and see how that affects it. No, that would be too much. Well, what if I put 2% vacancy reserve here? 95,000, that's too high. So we're about $260, $261 a month off. So I can probably subtract 261 from any one of these and get the number right. Minus 270, 806. So let's see, gas is at 806. No, that didn't work. Annually, so I got to divide this by 12. Okay, so 94,187 minus 93,925.06 divided by 12. Now I can subtract this from here. Minus 270. Let's say minus 187.5. So that's 165, 167, 165, 67, 165, 67. That still doesn't make sense. What is going on here? 94,187 minus 93,925.06 divided by 12, 260.94, 2175 minus, oh, okay, this is not multiplying, this is my annual, okay, and I put this in as monthly. What if I go back here, put this at a 0? And they were saying annual is 2250, right? Miscellaneous plus reserves. So 2250. Okay, so now we're at 96. That should make sense. 180. 94,424. 94,187, so still a little high. Advertising maybe $10. 94,304 versus 94,187, so maybe 20 here. 94,184 versus 94,187, so $3 off. Okay, that's starting to make sense. That's with the 0% vacancy, but the vacancy reserves has already been calculated in there. So let's see, if we go back to 3% vacancy here, we're at 91,000 now. What is this? 2250 should be here. 3% vacancy. Well, let's see here. If I put 1200 there, what that comes down to. So net operating income. Okay. Let's see, 250. That's still not enough. 1000. No, that would be way too much. So they have the vacancy losses calculated in there. Hazard insurance is correct. Property management is correct. Real estate taxes are 27,903. I'm showing 29,375. That would not affect it at all. There's something off here expenses. Right? Let's go ahead and add all this up. Offsite management 67.57. I'm showing 66.93. So okay, so there are little discrepancies there. Let's just go ahead and leave that at 0. And we will pest control, and we're going to zero this out. I'm wondering if I should. Maybe this should be 100. Because that might be on a monthly basis. Yeah, that's on a monthly basis, so the other income. Now it's starting to make sense. Now I can put in a 3% vacancy here. 92,000, 93,000, so I'll leave that at 0. And let's see what happens. 180 here. Maybe 250 here. 300. No. 275. 424 versus 187. So this needs to be 260. No, 250. Let's go on higher. 300. 295. There we go. 94,184 versus 94,187. We're $3 off. Net cash flow. So very first day, you're looking at about $13,000 net cash flow after the debt service. If you were to take all that money and put it in a vault somewhere without it collecting interest, you're looking at $1.37 million collected after 3 years. Your exit is $8.1 million. That's $8.1 million on a $1.222 million investment. Well, 1.381 once you consider all the closing costs. So that's only almost a 600% return, 592% return, or let's see here, or roughly 6xing, 7xing your cash, basically. That doesn't seem too good, but let's see what it is when you do the cash out refi, right? So let's see here. Well, first I gotta input all these data points, right? I gotta see average yearly appreciation, right? I want to do this one, and I want to go 3.4 because this is a zip code that we're concerned about. I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm also going to go to Google and have it do the same thing. So they're saying 5.98%. And they're saying between 6.4 to 7.3. I want to go from 1996 to 2026. Same thing here. 1996 to 2026. So we are getting 6.09 and we are getting 6.45. So what I'm going to do is just go with 6.09. And now we got to figure out yearly um, uh, rental inflation. Rental inflation. Rental inflation. And I'm also going to check this building on Zemus to see if it is subject to rental ordinance or rent stabilization order. 321, 3121, 3121, Canfield. There we go. Let's see, housing. And it is subject to rent stabilization ordinance. So in this area, rent goes up by 4.63% per year between 4.6 and 5.0. But because it's subject to rent stabilization ordinance, I'm going to keep it at 4%. And so let's see what happens here. Your net operating income stays the same. Your cash flow stays the same. Your cash flow after 30 years looks like it goes down a little, but your exit is $9.9 million. And your cash on cash return went from 592% to 721%. So the only thing we really changed was the yearly appreciation. And that's almost 8xing your money. So how can we do better? We can do a cash out refi. So we know that we put in 1.381 million and we want to get that out. So the way I do this is cash input, cash injected, plus balance should be less than or equal to 70% of future value. Okay, so another way to do that is of just means times multiplied by. So another way to do that is cash injected plus balance, loan balance, over future value should be less than or equal to 70%. And I like to focus on the less than side rather than the equal to side. So if I go at 55%, 60%, somewhere in that area, let's say 50% to 60% of instead of 70%, then I know that at least I'll be cash flowing sooner rather than later after I do the cash out refi. And that part's important because you don't want to pull money out only have to give some of it back to cover your losses in the cash flow by putting it back into the building. You can do that. You can still walk away with a great return, but it's not ideal because if you can divide a number, any number, over 0, you get infinity. If you divide x by itself, you get x. But if you divide it by 0, you get infinity. And that's what we're going for. So let's see here. We got to go 1.381. 1.381 516.56 plus, let's see the balance here. What is the balance? I'm going to go to year 10 because this is roughly when the building has doubled in value. So if I think of it this way, here's the way I think of it. Forgetting all this, another shortcut, and it's not always accurate, but a shortcut that I like is building price or purchase price. This is what the price is you agreed to with the seller, regardless of how much cash you put on it, over or times 0.5 or purchase price divided by 2 is equal to future value is when you should refinance equals refi time. Because now you got to pull out your original cash investment and you've got a building for free, essentially. So let's see here. 2.3, 4.2. That's a little bit less than half, but again, it's a general rule of thumb. So we're going to go up here when the balance is 1.405. Oh, sorry, this is the equity. The balance is 944,000. 944,000. 944 101.01 has to be less than or equal to 70% times future value, which in this case is, according to this, 4.244 4244 361.40. Okay, so let's see here what that turns into. 1381.516.56 plus, okay, 1381.516.56 plus 944.101.01. So we're at 23265. No, I'm missing a number here. I'm missing a digit. 5617. And this is actually less than the purchase price. And then if I were to just bring that over there, I would get 4244.361.40. And let's see if this is actually true. So 2325617.57 divided by 4244.361.40. So we're at 54.8%. 4.8% LTV, loan to value. Yeah, you're adding another 30 years to your loan, but you're also pulling your original cash investment out. So you've essentially gotten this building for free. And you're free to reinvest that $1.2 million elsewhere after about 10 years. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. And we said 54.8, right? So 54.8. We want to punch in that same number there. Numbers from year 10 will be punched in here. Oops. Okay, so that one's correct. So I have to divide this one by 12. 4335.80 divided by 12. 361.32. And since all the utilities were the same, we're just going to use that for each. And now we're at 20 for lawn and snow, landscaping. 2087.93 divided by 12. We're at 173.99. 73.99. HOA and trash removal is 6691. 6691.11 divided by 12. 557.59. 557.59. Pest control is 4737.27 divided by 12. 394.77. 394.77. Advertising we said was 0. Our net operating income is still in place. Cash flow, we're losing about first 2 years. We're losing 12,400 and 8,000, about a $400,000 difference. That's about 20,400. We may lose a little bit in year 3 and 4. So using some sort of downward trajectory, we can guess what it would be. 12,400. 1, 2, 3, 4 years losses. So 12,400. This was about 8,000, I believe. Yeah, 8,011. So let's say 11. And then 4,400 less than that was what? 3,600. And then 4,000. So you're probably like $100 positive here, $1,000 positive here. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Right? 3,600 minus 4,400, you're minus 800. So if we were to add all these losses up, we're at 1, 1, 4, 10, 8, 1, 13 plus 11 is 4, and then 2. So that's $34,000. Let's just round it up and say, because of closing costs on the refi, and well, no, you're not paying cash for the refi losses. For the closing costs on the cash out refi, you're just rolling that into the loan balance, so you don't come out of pocket to close the loan on the loan fees. So let's say $35,000 even, right? So now, using it from that lens, after you finish paying off the loan, and you can sell at any time before that, but why would you? The longer you hold it, the more valuable the building becomes. So now you're walking away with $15.6 million. This $35,000 got you 15,632 million. So if we were to do that as a formula, right, as figure out percentages here, we are going 15,632, 1, 2, 3, divided by 35,000 times 100. We're at a 44,600% return. Cash on cash return. Or you can look at it like, 447xing your money. How many stocks give you those kinds of returns? So this is one of the reasons I like real estate. It's more work, but the pay is better, is infinitely better. So yeah, so imagine you had $1 million, you invested it, and you 447x'd it, right? So now you would have $447 million. Those are the kinds of returns we are talking about here. if you do this right. All right, until next time.